So I want to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to serve on the Digital and Innovation Advisory Council with St. Jude. I've been on, it'll be 4 years this coming February, I believe. And it has been an absolute pleasure and just one of the most impactful things I think I've ever been involved with in my life. So I consider it an honor, and I just want to tell a little bit about that. And then we're going to show a video, everyone. Get your tissues out. And then we'll interview Melanie. I have some questions prepared for her. But I got involved with St. Jude with my family. So my connection comes from my family. And when my mom moved in the last years of her life, she moved in with us and I was handling her finances. And every month she would say, "Now, Carol, don't forget to write the $25 check to St. Jude." And the first month she said that, I'm like, "What?" I said, you give to St. Jude? And she goes, "Oh, I have since like the year you were born. I used to stuff dollars in an envelope and send it, and now I send a $25 check." And every month, "Carol, don't forget to write the check to St. Jude. We can't forget the children." And she would watch the stories on TV and she'd cry, and she just gave to it since the year I was born. And Melanie, I know you have said in the past that one of the biggest donors is people who stuff dollars in envelopes, especially older moms, I think, right?
That's right. That's right. You would be surprised at how many $1 bills we'll get that are just in an envelope that come to us every single year. Just people that it might be all that they have to give, but they do. I mean, the generosity of human souls is incredible. And thank you, by the way, Carol, for not only your mom, but you. I remember the first time we talked and you shared that story, and it just was so touching to me, not only that your mom gave to us, but now you can serve and give back to us of your time, which is actually so valuable on the council. And then, you know, of course, any dollars that anyone can give are important too.
Yeah. So, you know, at Dragonfly, we always give a percentage of our revenues to St. Jude because it's our cause. And we think there's no better cause to give to, actually. And we also, you know, this year, financially, of course, we're in the hotel industry, so our company's revenues have taken a hit. But we still want to give back. We are committed to this. And one of the things that we're doing, and some of you that are on have already contributed, we're running a donation campaign through the end of the year, kicking it off in this Thanks and Giving timeframe, which is a St. Jude Thanksgiving campaign. But you know, through the end of the year, we'll match up to $2,500 of donations, and it's on Facebook. All of that money goes directly to St. Jude. Nothing goes to Facebook. They are very generous with their donation platform. Okay. So Melanie, if you could tell us the story of St. Jude and, you know, why it was started, and give us some history about the nonprofit.
Yes, so I can. So the idea really of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital started over 70 years ago, believe it or not. And it was the dream of Danny Thomas, who was an entertainer. But if you step back, his dream was even before he became an entertainer. He was a struggling comedian and he used to travel the country, and he had his first baby on the way, and he didn't have enough money to actually have the baby and bring her home. And he prayed to Saint Jude Thaddeus and gave his last $7 and put it in, you know, on the table while he was praying, and just said, "Show me my way in life and I will build you a shrine." And, you know, after that, literally like the day after that, he got one of his first jobs that really moved his career forward. And eventually he became a great entertainer. You know, he had a famous TV show and he was in movies and he was very big in Hollywood, but he never forgot his promise to St. Jude Thaddeus. And when it came time and he was really successful, he said, "You know what, it's time for me to start to give back." And he was like, "What can I do? How can I build a shrine to St. Jude Thaddeus?" And eventually he came up with the idea that no, it wouldn't just be a shrine, that he could actually build a children's hospital, and he would put it in a place when he was traveling the country where there was more need. There was a greater need. And so he chose Memphis, Tennessee to put not only just a children's hospital, but a children's research hospital, and called it Saint Jude Children's Research Hospital. And it was important also that it was in Memphis because there was so much need. And he made it free for anyone. So he made it without regard to someone's ability to pay, without their religious affiliation. It was open to anyone from any religious background. And anyone from any walk of life could come. So anyone that had a disease, like, and that day, cancer, could come to the hospital. So it was really revolutionary concept at the time. So that's the beginnings of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And freely share too. You think about a really bad business model. He said, I'm gonna have a business model where nobody will pay. Anyone can come, regardless of their background. And oh, by the way, we're gonna freely share all the research to anyone who wants it. So
Amazing.
I know that's the beginning of the story. Yes.
And the Thomas family is still involved today, yeah?
They are, actually. So Danny Thomas had 3 children, Marlo Thomas, Terry Thomas, and Tony Thomas, and all 3, plus the grandkids, actually. And there are great-grandkids. They're not quite old enough yet, but they're all involved with the mission in one way or another very regularly. And so the Thomas family legacy is really part of the entire mission.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so amazing. So what are some of the achievements St. Jude has had over the years, so since this started, that have brought healing and health to so many families?
Well, when the hospital was originally set up, it was set up to tackle catastrophic pediatric diseases at the time. So, go back to 1962 when the hospital's doors opened. Cancer was literally a death sentence for children in this country and then around the globe. And if you think of childhood cancer survival rates, then acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is the #1 cancer for children, it was 4% was the survival rate. And so you kind of fast forward, and due to a lot of the work that happened at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, now the survival rate in the United States is 94%. And it was the same, back in 1962, overall childhood cancers, because there are many, the survival rate was 20%. And now it's closely 80% again in the United States. But that's not the same all across the world. If you look across the world, it's actually pretty much like it's 1962 in many countries where the survival rates are under 10%.
Wow. And I know St. Jude a couple of years ago partnered with the World Health Organization, yes, to take this globally and have more impact globally. How's that moving forward? I mean, I'm sure with the pandemic, this has made it more difficult, correct?
Well, you know what? So let me give you a little bit of history. So St. Jude had really, for the last 25, 30 years, has been having outreach globally. And a couple of years ago, we made a bold statement. We partnered with the World Health Organization to look to tackle the top 6 pediatric cancers over the next 10 years and bring up their survival rates to 60% or greater in the next 10 years for those 6 cancers. So it's really bold. Wow. We have outreach and partnerships in over 100 different countries all across the world. Part of the foundation of how Danny Thomas started the hospital with freely sharing research is part of the outgrowth of that, is working with different foundations and different hospitals all across the world. And so I work for ALSAC, which is American Lebanese Syrian Associated Charities. When Danny Thomas first set up the hospital, he set up the charity first. So I work on the philanthropy side of things. And then we raised money and then set up St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So all the money raised goes to the hospital, and then we work globally with all the foundations.
So tell me more about sharing the research that you do, because he said, people would have access to this for free. So your impact at St. Jude goes way beyond what happens there in Memphis at the hospital.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about how that works for other doctors and medical professionals and researchers?
Yeah, so how that works is in a couple of different ways. We definitely have the different hospitals, either in the United States that we work with or globally. And we have regular forums that we share that information out into. And as well, our doctors do consulting all the time. Like, they'll be, there are phones actually over at the hospital where literally, they'll pick up and share consulting information over halfway across the world, and even translation services. So if the doctors don't speak the same language, it'll get translated in real time. And so there are consults, hundreds of them all the time. And we also have a partnership with Microsoft with it's called the Saint Jude Cloud. What we actually did is probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, we embarked on a pediatric cancer genome project and basically scanned hundreds of genomes for kids, and then had that uploaded to the cloud. And so long as you're a part of, researching cancers, you can apply to have access to that raw data. So we do a lot of different things.
And didn't you find out a couple of years ago, maybe it's been a few years ago now, that how you treat this childhood cancer, kind of the same type, is different in a child than an adult? And so the protocols for treatment are sometimes different?
Well, I'm on the fundraising side, so not on the medical side.
Right.
So I'd probably leave it to our doctors to answer that one for sure.
Yeah.
But all of the discoveries that we make, we freely share. So that can be picked up by lots of different communities.
Yeah. So tell me about, I've walked through the hospital and toured and seen the family. There's so much that's available to the families. So tell us about, do they pay for all that or not?
Well, we treat the whole family, the whole child. And part of that is, also the family. So when patients come here, they get lots of different ancillary services. So we have a child life program, for example. Actually, you can see probably behind me, this is real patient art that, the patients create. And that's part of our child life services. And it's not just for the patient, right? It's for their siblings as well. Because often, when parents are so focused on the child who's sick, the other children in the household also have needs and sometimes feel like maybe they're missing out. And so a part of child life is making sure that the whole family can participate. So that's just one of the things. But we also have patient housing that's here. It's either on campus or adjacent to our campus or right down the road. Because during a cancer treatment, like let's say acute lymphoblastic leukemia that I just mentioned, that has a 2.5 year time period for treatment. So there are many families that will come, come to Memphis, and they'll live in our housing for a couple of years. And they do not have to pay for really any of that at all. And that's because of generous donors. And thank you for setting up your campaign. Every dollar makes a difference. And thank you, I know in this time of struggle for many companies, for continuing to give and, continuing to be a part of this.
Yeah, well, I just, in walking through the campus there, I was just so moved. And we were actually, when we went on a tour, someone who had been treated there as a child was our tour guide who now works there. And he married another patient recently, right? That he had met there. So it was so amazing to hear his story, his family story, and just the life change that happens there. So I do want to try the video again. If it doesn't happen to run this time, we will send out a link so you guys can watch it on your own time. and have your own tears. But Nicole, I'm going to give you a moment to unmute first, and let's see if we can get it running this time.
Some days it feels like it's never gonna stop.
It's kind of a mental war. Sometimes you just feel like it's not going to get any better.
Lo primero que le pregunté a mi papá fue, papi, yo me voy a morir.
When you go through suffering, you learn a lot about yourself. Because stuff comes out of every bad situation.
Dark circles all around my eyes. I was just out of it.
In one moment, those 3 words, you have cancer, and my whole life changed.
Without cancer, who am I?
I feel like I could do anything. I could go to college, be a nurse, be a doctor, anything.
I'm a straight A student, focusing on getting my bachelor's degree in journalism. I'm just doing it one step at a time.
I would like to go in the filming industry. It's kind of always been something awesome to me, but it's gonna take some work.
While I was going through chemo, I learned how to read greens. I chipped and putted. I worked on sand shots, stuff that I would need to know. The best score I've had is an 86, but I really want to get down to 85 or less. I've been working at it, and I think that that's achievable now.
I'm not the same person I was when I first went into this. I'm a better human being and individual because I went through Saint Jude. It wasn't like a hospital. It was like a fun-loving community, a family.
You and I have vowed that we will do everything in our power to bring about the defeat of these catastrophic diseases. Saint Jude Children's Research Hospital, world-renowned.
I need your help.
Advancements in pediatric science.
I can't do it alone.
And clinical care.
Please help me.
We're going to treat children of every creed, nationality, and color. And by the grace of God, it shall be done.
Tears. They're not flowing because I had to watch it several times so that maybe I wouldn't bawl and I could still talk. But that's the work that St. Jude does. And now I am crying. Told you, Melanie. I told you I would. But thank you for sharing that video. And, you know, just to see those big smiles on those kids, the things that they are able to do, the life that they're able to live and to have because of miracles that happen at St. Jude is a phenomenal story. And as I said, I think it's the best cause in the world. So I didn't bring tissues. I should have gotten my own. I thought I could do this. How is it that people can partner with St. Jude in order to make this difference?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of ways. You know, I love that video too. That is one of my favorite. You can hear Danny Thomas's voice speaking, you know, in the background, to see the kids that are highlighted in that video and to watch them grow up. And you mentioned, you said Lindsay and Joel, like people that toured you. We have now so many survivors that work at LSAC and kind of pass things forward. And again, like you and your mom with generations of giving, we have generations now of people who've survived and are passing on to their kids when they may not have even ever thought they would survive, or they would not have ever thought they could have kids. And it's just such an amazing thing to see. So, sorry, I just wanted to comment on that video because I love it, I think, as much as you do. As far as partnering, there's so many ways to partner, depending on where someone was at. Like you, I mean, you've partnered with us by being a part of our Digital and Innovation Advisory Council, which is a council of experts in their field who help volunteer 100% to really help us to advance, what we're doing, whether it's some kind of campaign we're working on or our technologies. So that's one way that people have helped and partnered. Other ways too, we've actually had a lot of gamers. So believe it or not, gaming can be good too. We have our Saint Jude Play Live program that started in 2014 with just a few gamers, and now hundreds of gamers support the mission, and thousands of people support those gamers. And in just a course of 6-7 years, they've raised about $30 million for the mission of Saint Jude. So, anybody from any walk of life, influencers. I see Carol, my friend here, who's now an influencer as well. This shirt saves lives. That's another one. You can become a partner in hope. That's right. So, and that's just a way to just donate, right? Like you can donate, become a monthly sustaining giver, and you can get the This Shirt Saves Lives t-shirt as well. So lots of ways. We've had companies who've partnered with us, the Thanksgiving campaign, which may talk about in a little bit, but that was started by the Thomas family. So the 3 siblings, they actually worked together probably about, I want to say 16 or 17 years ago now. They actually started that campaign as just a fledgling, a few partners, and they were companies in retail who started that. And now we have hundreds of companies that support now the Thanksgiving program. You can, give at the register, typically in a non-pandemic year. This year you can give online, or you can actually give at the curb. Like there are lots of changes that have occurred where now people can still participate in that campaign, but they give in different ways.
Oh, wow. So kind of leading on to that, I know that I originally had this towards the end, but I want to ask it now since you said that. I know there's had to be, because there were so many live events, right? That were, whether it was the runs, the walks, the events in various cities that were, Scott and I, my husband, got the chance to attend one in New York City a couple of years ago, which was one of the live auctions and those type of events. But now with COVID, like that's really hard. So how has St. Jude transformed in this environment to be able to continue to fundraise?
Well, we've had this statement that I feel like the world went fast forward about 5 years in the first 5 months of the pandemic. Things that we didn't think we were going to be doing or we were on our way to doing overnight, we had to do. And so to give some context to those who don't know, each year we have, whether we run them or whether volunteers run them, about 31,000 events, like physical, actual events. And overnight, just the events business where someone had to come and go to dinner, let's just say, they couldn't do anymore. So a very large proportion of our business was pretty much completely disrupted. And so we did a lot of things to pivot. And I'll say again, Carol, thanks to you and your contributions on our Digital and Innovation Advisory Council, we had been building a lot of the back-end systems integration, like a lot of different things over time to actually enable us to fairly seamlessly pivot a lot of our person events to virtual events. So like Zoom, we started having some Zoom events where people could get online and then go over and give a donation. And I will tell you that we still haven't gotten it all figured out. Live streams and virtual events still have lots of hiccups for us, like videos and whatnot that we're still working through how that actually works. And then just, different technologies, like how can you give in different ways? So we pivoted all of that. And then we actually moved some money too over to our mass marketing efforts as well. And so we kind of picked up a little bit in the advertising area, or in social media. Social media was a big area where people weren't going anywhere, but they were in social media. So we kind of moved around that way as well. So we started having really almost small events too with our CEO that we might have in person. So again, we started having them be smaller efforts. We've had a few sessions too with some of our hospital staff and doctors where they actually are talking about, what's happening at the hospital. So we've done that as well. So a lot of different things that we've done to try to pivot our business. I'll tell you though, still the kinds of events that we used to run, we still have not, hit a threshold of the same kind of fundraising we used to do there that we do now. So we're still trying to work through that. Like how can we best still have events that are compelling as, in-person events?
Yeah. So a lot of change that's happened very quickly, and it's been necessary in this environment. Hopefully next year we'll have vaccine, and the hotel industry certainly hopes that we can get back to having events, because Saint Jude was a big client to a lot of different hotels as well. And as you know, we do a lot of events in hotels, and the events industry has been pretty much decimated. And it's slowly starting to come back with smaller type things. But hopefully the recovery for all of us is going to come sooner, I shouldn't say more sooner, wrong language there, sooner than we all, some of our analytics anticipate, we'll put it that way.
Right. Well, here's what I will say.
On a personal level, yeah, go ahead.
We have a lot of demand. I will tell you that. As soon as it's something that, we can do more of, we're going to do a lot more. We have a lot of folks who miss the actual in-person events. So I don't know if that's a hopeful message, but definitely from our standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, people miss that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's, Zoom's great, and thank God we had it to go through this, right? But that in-person interaction and the communication that you can have in person, face to face, is so important. I can't wait till our council can meet again. I miss everybody so much, and it's just all been Zoom, because we had to cancel our meeting in March. We were supposed to be there at the end of March, and then the innovation conference was online, and everything changed. And by the way, you guys did an amazing job with your innovation conference. I hope one day in the future you'll be able to take that up to the outside world, because it is so inspirational, and teaches so much.
I would like to too. Yeah. We had usually we'd have an innovation week in person, but we did have it virtually. And I am hopeful that next year, maybe we could do both, right? We could have some in person, we can have some virtual, and we can have it be more outside. I call it like the hybrid, hybridization. I'm not sure if that's a word or a term, but that's what I feel like.
Well, it probably is now. So make up a new word in 2020. COVID's a new word, right? So, I think you're right. I think hybrid events are going to be the way of the future, because there will be, actually, I think it's going to extend the reach of conferences and meetings, because, people who maybe don't have the travel budget to do something can actually do it online. And so I think there are going to be positive things on the other side of this that transform how the world communicates and does events, which will be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I think so. And, something else we've been doing for a few years as well, but it didn't really take off until now, was a virtual tour of the campus. We had been filming and working on, how can we get these really complex, almost 360-degree visuals compact enough to be able to have people go online and actually see the campus. And so we really built out that virtual tour too, but it was several years in the making so that people could see the campus even if they couldn't be here. There's lots of things. We had to pivot our messaging too. We had to, we based on our foundations, we were built as a hospital in Danny's original vision to treat patients without regard to race, religion, or ability to pay. And that just foundationally is a part of the DNA of who we are and who we've always been. And so, a lot of our creative, we just kept going out with the same story of who we've always been. And so we definitely have made sure to continue to just be who we are and show our message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's a powerful message on its own. And then, just all the stories that are released in social media and, the patient stories, the family stories. There's just a lot of powerful content out there that is very motivating to someone who wants to give back. So I appreciate everything your marketing team does in that arena. Now, getting a little bit personal here, Melanie, you've been at St. Jude for quite a while. Why have you committed your life to this cause and this organization?
Yeah, well, so I've been here for 13 years. And before I worked at ALSAC, Saint Jude Children's Research Hospital, I worked in corporate America, and I love corporate America. I had some great roles prior to coming here, but something that I'll say once I came here is that it felt like the best of both worlds, the best of what I could do when I was in corporate America, and the best of what it means to have a job where I can give back every day, where what I do every day is serving sort of a greater purpose. And so for me, that's probably what keeps me here the most. Is I love those videos just as much as you do, even if I've seen them 100 times. I still love them. I'm still compelled by the idea that we can together help to make the world a little bit of a better place, especially for children, and especially for sick children, and that everyone can have access, to healthcare, and they can have, a way to live their lives as healthily as possible. And so those are really some of the reasons why I stay here and keep wanting to stay here and keep being very passionately happy that we have friends like you, Carol, that are helping us on that mission.
Well, I'm thankful for you and glad that you've been there, and thankful that you started the council to get outside insight into what's going on in the innovation space and the digital space. I think I love all the people that serve on the council. I was referred by my friend Virginia Suleiman, who I mentored when she was a young lady in Dallas before she married her gorgeous husband. They met at work, actually, so I knew them before they got married. And she was the chair of the council for quite a few years, and she referred me to come on the council because she knew my passion was with St. Jude. And so, and I've had the pleasure of referring other people like Amrita Sahasrapudi, who I've worked with as well, and she's just an amazing mind, amazing leader, and then just getting to know some of the other folks on the council has been such a benefit for me and for Dragonfly as well. I learn and am in awe of so many of them, as well as so many at St. Jude. I mean, you guys won the Innovation Award with Fast Company, yeah?
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, we did, yes. So that I would say that was years in the making too, again, because of the council. You guys, I keep coming back to the council, but first of all, I didn't know that story about Virginia. That's a great story, Carol. I knew that Virginia had referred you onto the council, and I knew that you had referred Amrita, but Like I didn't know all that. That's cool. Well, so yes, so we were very fortunate this past year to win Fast Company's Innovator of the Year award. And it was very humbling too. And it was really based on a number of factors that, you know, we won. First of all, just years and years worth of work, I would say, under the covers. Our CEO, Rick Shadiak, is a very progressive CEO. When he came in, I think 11 years ago now, I was here. I was actually a director at the time. And they asked the question, you know, what can you do to fix the internet? Well, I don't know, for us anyway. And so we put a proposal together.
Did you fix the whole internet? Did you fix the whole internet?
I don't know. Yeah, for us, right? And we put a proposal in front of him with like 6 major components. And he said yes. And he said, okay, well, let's kind of invest in some of the behind the scenes for what was digital. And one outcome of that actually was, hey, we're proposing to make a council, believe it or not. And that was when we originally started the council. And then over time, you know, just investment in our infrastructure, investment in IT. I mean, even, you know, yes, how we go to market, like our website, for example, or many of the applications that we run or programs. But it was also investment in things you wouldn't think of, like electronic contracts or an electronic workflow system where we could get approvals on creative. A lot of that actually helped to enable us to win that award and to pivot our whole workforce on a dime for COVID-19. But then I mentioned, you know, the virtual tour that we did. And then there was Hall of Heroes, which was an effort that we did in conjunction with Facebook and Oculus, which told the stories in virtual reality of a number of our different patients, where you could actually just put the headset on and you could literally experience what this child's journey was through the lens of being a superhero. And so there were just a number of different efforts that we did that we were fortunate enough to have won that award. We started an accelerator as well. So our CEO a couple years ago said, hey, can we make an internal accelerator for innovation where our staff and workforce can apply to be a part of it? And so we did that. We set up within, I think, 45 days, an entirely new accelerator, let people apply, then they would come in for 4 to 6 months, and then they'd get to participate on working on an actual project that we had and learn agile technologies and innovation methodologies and design thinking and all of that, and then come out the other end going like really, I say, forward to the job they had previously, but now they have all these new skills. So we did a lot of different things to sort of enable that. And the council helped us, you know, as a guide to say, well, how might we, you know, do many of these things?
Yeah, I was so proud of Saint Jude for that award and your team and their constant push forward. I mean, you have an amazing team there. We get to interact with so many of your team members. And I just remember coming to the innovation conference and that evening where we went over and there were things that you guys had like created that we could test. And I'm not going to talk about specifics because I don't know if there's trade secrets or anything, right? But it was so cool to come in and just try that different stuff and like see these creative minds that are tackling a problem like cancer. I mean, because that's what you're doing, right? That's what all this in the end game, that's what it's about. But you provide a culture of believing in innovation, and Rick definitely is such a leader that pushes that forward, and you know, wants to change and wants to innovate and wants to constantly improve. And so, you know, because your cause is so important, and so it's amazing. So we're about to our end here. I just want to say to everyone listening that we again are going to run a campaign with Dragonfly through the end of the year, so through December 31st. I think we've already raised almost $1,000, and we're definitely hoping to do more. And so if you can contribute, every dollar matters. It doesn't matter whether it's small or large. You know, we just want to give back and be generous in this year of COVID, which has been hard for all of us, especially, those in the hotel industry. Nonprofit world has been hit. Just a lot of things. Entertainment industry has been hit so hard. So, we really still, even though we've been hit hard, we want to have generous hearts. We want to give back, and we want to be about changing our world in whatever way that we can. And I think, fighting childhood cancer was so important and is so important, and in the future will continue to be important because, we, as Danny Thomas said, no child should die in the dawn of their life. And so we're fighting to make sure that that can be a reality globally, not just here in the United States, but globally. So that's what this is about. That's why we want to give back. But there's a huge campaign going on at St. Jude, and I'd like you to just close by talking just a little bit about Thanksgiving, something that you've been doing for years, and tell us more about that.
Yes. So the Thanksgiving campaign, as I mentioned, was really started by the Thomas family. So the children of Danny Thomas, and it was initially set up as a campaign to be between pretty much about Thanksgiving all the way through the end of the year. And a lot of partners are a part of it. So a lot of retail partners, it was initially set up to be. And right now, the way you can get involved in it is a couple of ways, which is different than in the past. Usually it's like shop at the partner. So there still are many of our partners where you can go and you can actually shop in person, whether it's a Best Buy, for example, or even a Kmart, and other stores like that, like Domino's is one of our big partners as well, Williams-Sonoma. So some of those partners are still the big partners, part of the campaign. So you can shop, or you can go online and you can shop on their online website, or many have, at the, in your car, like you can actually go up and you can order, and then you can get in your car and you can give donations that way. And we still have a number of celebrities that are supporting the campaign too. So Jennifer Aniston, Sofia Vergara, Michael Strahan, Luis Fonsi, they're all celebrities that are part of this. And you should actually be seeing the new TV commercials soon, which we had to film, as you know, in a pandemic. And so they're very differently filmed this year than they normally are. And I love them. So hopefully you will too. But other ways, so that's, or you can come on our website. So you can go to stjude.org. That's stjude.org and /Thanksgiving. That's another way where you can learn more. And definitely with partners like Carol and Dragonfly, going to Carol's page to give as part of her campaign as well. So there's lots of cool and exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, well, it is certainly the time of Thanksgiving. We're moving into next week. I can't believe it, being Thanksgiving 2020. I am super looking forward to December 31st this January 1st at midnight when it changed to 2021. Yeah. And hopefully we all have a fresh start, but we've got about 6 weeks or so, to give to St. Jude and to really focus on that campaign. A couple of other ways I would just suggest, Facebook birthday campaigns are a great way all year long to give money. And I usually run one every year. This year I wanted to focus on this, so I didn't run one this year. And then the other way is like with Lyft, you can mark up for St. Jude. So I have mine set to mark up for St. Jude, and I always use Lyft because they support St. Jude. And then Amazon. Also, you can shop at Amazon Smile and set it up for donations to St. Jude. So a lot of people have Amazon Prime, Amazon accounts. They shop there. It's a really easy way to just, again, be able to give a percentage of that back to St. Jude, which is an amazing cause. And as Melanie said, there are a lot of other partners out there. I just wanted to point out a couple of the really easy ways to fundraise for a great cause. So it's on my personal Facebook page, and we'll be sending out a link to that. I would really appreciate it because we are going to match up to the first $2,500 of total donations that come in. And next year, I hope to make that much more. And we're going to have a better year in hotels next year. And so we'll have more revenues. But thank you again, Melanie, so much. for joining us. I truly appreciate you. I love St. Jude. I am passionate about the cause, and I am honored that we can be connected with you.
Well, thank you back. We love you. Thank you for everything you're doing with your time and, you know, your fundraising. We appreciate you more than you can imagine. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Melanie. I'll talk to you soon.